In the last session, we learned about tax in Magento. In this session, we learned about setting up tax in Magento. So we will start by adding our tax rates. Before we add any of the tax rates, we will have to look at some other things first. So if you go to sales, tax, you will see there are a lot of options available related to tax. Now the first thing which we are going to see is import and export tax rates. So if you go into this menu, you can see that Magento provides a functionality to import as well as export tax rates. So we'll just have a more detailed look by exporting the current tax rates. So you can see when you click on export tax rates, it will download a CSV of all the available tax rates. So we will just open and see the tax rates, and you can see that it already has two tax rates available. It has a tax code, country, state, and the tax rates, and there are a few other options also if you want to use them. So you can, in Magento, you can add tax rates by two methods. You can either use the CSV, you can add in a few rows here and import the whole CSV, or you can add it to the interface provided in the Magento admin. So right now we are going to use the interface which is provided in the Magento admin, as we are only going to add a few tax rates. However, if you want to add multiple tax rates or a large number of tax rates, then importing them would be more beneficial, or it would be less time consuming. So we'll just go back to the Magento admin. So we'll again go back to sales, tax, and manage tax zones and rates. Both of the tax rates which were showing the CSV are available here. So if you want to add in a new tax rates, click on add a new tax rule. So there are a few things which are required to be entered here. So the first one is tax identifier. So I'm going to name this identifier a test identifier, as we are not going to use it anywhere, and this is just for test purposes. And we are going to apply this tax in, let's say, California. We are not going to use any zip post range, so we'll keep it as no. If you want to apply it to a specific zip code, then you can enter a specific zip post code here. So we'll keep the rate percent to 7. And there is also one more thing to be noticed here. The state is available for selection in only some of the countries by default in Magento. For example, if you will use United States or United Kingdom, the state drop down will list all the states available for that countries. But in case you select India or any other country, you can see that the state drop down will be disabled, as Magento doesn't have any state information of India. So for better explanatory purposes, I'm going to use United States, and I'm going to click on save rate. So as you can see, our tax has been added. Now if you notice that there was already a tax added for California, so I'm going to just change my country just to avoid any conflicts. Let's say I keep the country US and change the state to Alabama and click on save rule. Now you can see the state region. Magento will always show the region code. So you can see that this is our tax identifier. It will be applied in United States, and Alabama will be the state or region. The next thing which is required to do is add this to a tax rule. So we are going to again go to sales, tax, and click on manage tax rules. Now there is already one tax rule available. We are going to create a new tax rule. So we are just going to enter a few fields. We are going to name it test tax rules. So this tax is only going to be for a retail customer, and the product class is going to be taxable good. And we are going to select our tax rate. Our identifier will be shown here. So if you remember, it was test identity, and the priority will be 0. So priority is important. If you have noticed that we added two different tax rates for California. So what would have happened if we would have kept the same tax rate? So if the same tax rates were available, then the applied tax rate would be dependent on the priority. So as you can see here, tax rates at the same priority are added and others are compounded. So you can use this priority if you have two different taxes for a same state. And we will also keep the sort order to 0. If you want to calculate tax on only subtotal, you should click on this checkbox. But right now I'm going to keep the default settings and I'm going to click save and continue. Now there are two things to be noted here, the product tax class and the customer tax class. So where are these two things coming from? So the product tax class comes from, if you remember, then go to catalog, manage products, and if I edit any of the product, in the prices section there is an option called tax class, which is mandatory. You can also create new tax classes from the tax settings. So this was just to show you where this is coming from, and the customer groups are coming from, if you go to manage customers, there are no customers available. In Magento there are several customer groups which you will come to know. So again, moving back to taxes, now if you go back, you will notice that the tax has been saved. Now as we have added a new tax, we will test where it is applied, and I will show you how to test these taxes. So if you go to your Magento front end, go to one of your product, and I will just add one of the product to cart. And after adding the product to cart, if you go to the cart page, there are a few options available here, like estimate, shipping and tax. So here I will just select my country to be United States and the state in which I added the tax, so it was Alabama. And right now I will just add in some dummy zip code and click on estimate. So the tax which we applied will be shown here. So if you calculate the tax manually, 31.5 is 7% of 450, the tax rate which we added here. If you go to the same tax percentage which we added here in our tax rate. So this is how you can test your tax rate being applied. Now that we have looked into sales tax, we will go into check the shipping. So now as you know how to add sales tax, we will see how to add shipping to our products. In the next session, we are going to learn about a special shipping method